Hello and welcome to the new series of Drishti IAS. I am Pooja Dwivedi, and in this segment today we are going to talk about the agitations against the Farm Act of 2020 by farmers. Now this topic is important from the perspective of prelims but mostly important from the point of view of GS mains paper 2 and 3. So let's begin with the topics of discussion step by step. First and foremost, we are going to talk about why news. We will talk about the timeline of the entire process. We will also talk about the reasons for the protest. These are basically the separate farm acts. We will talk about the significance of the Farm Act of 2020. We will talk about the challenges it poses upon the farmers and way forward. And we will talk about one mains-based question which will be easily answered with the help of this particular segment. So let's begin with why news, because Punjab Farmers Body, who has been agitating against the Farm Act of 2020, has claimed that they have received permission from the Union government to enter into the premises of Delhi and agitate peacefully at the Burari ground. Now, farmers have been agitating and protesting against these farm laws. Why? Because they think that this would dismantle the entire MSP process and also leave them at the mercy of big corporates and middlemen. So, if we talk about MSP, what is MSP? You must have read about it, but here I am going to try to make you understand in very simple terms. What is MSP? Who decides it? And when was it for the first time ever applied or implemented? So, what is MSP? MSP is in simple terms, it's an insurance. It's a safety net for the farmers in which the government promises the farmers that in case the price of the produce falls drastically at the retail market, then the government will procure that produce at predetermined prices. Now, as you must know, who decides it? The central government. I'm going to write center. On the recommendation of Commission for Agriculture Cost and Produce. Now, CACP arrives at the MSP by using a formula which was recommended by the Swaminathan Committee. Swaminathan Committee was a government-formed panel to look into the issues of the farmers. And if we talk about when was it first ever used, 1966-67, under which wheat was the first crop to be procured. Now, if we talk about current times, wheat and rice are the two major food crops that are procured under MSP, and there are more than 20 plus crops which are procured under MSP. Alright, so now then let's move forward and talk about the timeline. When did it all start? On 5th of June, the Government of India implemented 3 farm ordinances, and after it received the assent of the President, it became an act. There are 3 acts under it: Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce Act of 2020, and Farmers Agreement on Price Assurance and Farm Services of 2020, and Essential Commodities Amendment Act of 2020. So, when these ordinances were under the glare of the media, lot amount of protests started to erupt across country. But when they became an act, many more farmers came into the picture. The epicenter of the protests were Haryana and Punjab. But other regions also saw lots of protests, including Uttar Pradesh, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Odisha and Kerala. Now, most recently, if we talk about, but before that, I would like to tell you that there was also a Bharat Bandh which was declared on 25th of September 2020. If we talk about most recent times, most recently, yesterday only, thousands of farmers defying police barricades, defying tear gas, water cannons reached Delhi, and they claim to have got permission from the government to agitate peacefully. Now, the central government has allotted the date of 3rd December 2020 for discussing the future of the farm laws. Now, we will talk about what are the reasons in the light of these 3 laws basically. Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce Promotion and Facilitation Act of 2020. So, this law has certain provisions. What are they? This was brought into the picture in order to give better trade and better avenues to the farmers, in the sense that farmers and traders can buy and purchase farm produce outside the premises of APMC registered mandis, and also better interstate and intrastate is promoted. Also facilitate better avenues, better revenue in fact for the farmer, and provide a facilitative framework for electronic trading of farm produce. But there is a fear. What is that? That the central government is intruding into the state's arena, because agriculture is a state subject. Now the problem is that the new law states that the state government will not levy any taxes on the transaction in these newly formed trade areas. Alright. Now this takes away revenue from the state, and it also says that the traders will not pay taxes to the government when they are buying from the farmers. Right. Now there is a lot of loss of revenue here. Then comes, there is a bigger problem. To make sure that the farmers have at least received some profit, the central government buys produce from the farmers at MSP in the mandis. And when the central government has procured food grains, what does it do? It provides these food grains at highly subsidized price to vulnerable sections of the society under the NFSA Act through PDS system, and it feeds 2/3 of the entire country. What will happen to this? This is also a concern. Then the fear now is that the government is weakening the mandi system and creating more avenues for the farmers, so that during near future it can pull out of the MSP system. And now if this happens, when the government is out of the picture, what will happen? The farmers will be at the mercy of middlemen and big traders. One more fear is there, one more bone of contention basically is there, that the traders who procure food grains outside the mandi don't need to pay any sort of cess or levies. But if they are procuring the food grains from the mandi, then they have to give cess and levies. So what will happen? Of course they don't want to do that, so they will buy outside the mandis, and that will hurt the mandi business, and also go for more private players, give more avenues, much bigger area to private players. The next thing is the Farmers Empowerment and Protection Agreement on Price Insurance Assurance and Farm Services Act of 2020. What does this do? Provides for a legal framework for farmers to enter into contract with companies when before production and before the rearing of crops. Now, it's not that contract farming is new to India. It has been there under the APMC Act, when state APMCs used agreements and used them in case of any sort of dispute arises. So, the good thing of the above law is that it transfers market unpredictability from farmers to the sponsors. Why? Because in case of there is a volatility in the market, the farmers are still shielded because of prior price determination. Now, it may also pave the way for more cash crops to be grown, and food crops have a shrinking acreage, because private players like to make as much money as they want. Now, since corporates can enter into contracts for horticulture, floriculture and other cash crops, they would not want to sell it in the domestic market, and they would want to sell it in the international market, and this will of course divide the entire selling process. Now, some farmers say that this could enslave them to their own land, and in case of any dispute, will their voices be heard or not? That is also a fear amongst them. Now, next comes in the picture the Essential Commodities Amendment Act, which allows and empowers the central government to regulate food items and also provide stock limits in extraordinary, unprecedented circumstances such as natural calamity or even war. But here also, even in these cases, the food stock limitation can be done only when there is a 100% increase in the retail price in case of horticulture. I'm just going to write horti, you understand, it's culture, horticulture, and 50% in case of non-perishable food items such as pulses, oil seeds, cereals, right? Now experts say that this is a good move in the sense that this would attract more private investment, better infrastructure, and reduce post-harvest loss. But they also warn that certain other shortcomings of this is that it could lead to hoarding of produce, that could lead to food inflation, right? So let's move forward and talk about significance of Farm Act of 2020. What is its significance? I discussed some prior getting to this point. Selling options will be increased because the farmers will get the long sought freedom of selling their produce outside the APMC mandis. Now, it's not so that APMC will go out of the picture. APMC will still be available for those who want to sell through it. Now, it will also promote trade. Of course, if they go out the premises and no regulations are there as such, it will also promote barrier-free interstate as well as intrastate trade. It will give them better prices. Of course, it will help the farmers to go from regions of surplus produce to reach out to consumers where there is a shortage, right? Now let's move forward and know more about it. It will also promote the idea of One India, One Agriculture Market, because the bill here, it will be the act. The act basically aims at creating more avenues for the farmer, and additional trading outside APMC will worsen the entire expanse because they already are getting stable income through MSP procurement. They will get better avenues also, right? So now let's move forward and talk about the challenges. First is building the, in fact, pacifying the mistrust. Pacifying the mistrust right now which exists in the farmers is a big challenge because these bills have been passed without a debate. So implementing them is a big challenge in such circumstances. Now, as the restrictions on storing some products are removed, now this could lead to import of certain products which are needed here. So protecting domestic farmers from such possible effects is also a big challenge. Now let's see what is the way forward. First is that the government needs to improve agriculture infrastructure to strengthen more competition. Now government should massively fund the expansion of the APMC market in addition to this, and make efforts to remove trade cartels, also paying farmers good, also helping the farmers to get good roads, good logistics, good infrastructure, empowering state farmers commission. And despite them centralizing the entire farming system, they should decentralize. The government should decentralize. The emphasis should be on empowering farmers from state to state through state farmers commission, and recommended by the National Commission of Farmers to bring speedy grievance settlement system, and consensus building. This is the most important right now. Consensus building should be there. The center should reach out to those who are not happy with the bill, who are protesting against the bill, including the farmers, in order to make them understand why is this bill needed, why is this act needed, and why they need to go with the flow right now, because agriculture is at a loss and agriculture needs to improve. So the government needs to talk about it to the farmers as well. Now let's move forward and talk about one main space question. I hope you have understood. I have tried to make you understand as simple as possible. So look at this main space question, and I hope you will be able to answer it with the help of this segment. There is a need for strong institutional arrangement before unleashing the laissez-faire policy in Indian agriculture. Discuss. Now, as yesterday, I told you to be focused on certain words. So here you will have to discuss. You have to discuss this particular statement. All right. So I hope you found this segment informative. Tomorrow I am going to turn up with another segment. Until then, stay updated and thank you so much for watching.